Hey, so right now, give some background for this information for this video. I'm reading Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Idiot. Now, I have read plenty of self-improvement books. I've read a lot of. I can show you over there. I read Atomic Habits. I've read How to Win Friends, Influence Others, 48 Rules of Power. I've read almost all of them you can think of, but I think it's also like equally as important to also just read books that like genuinely interest you. Like, for example, like right now in The Idiot, it's talking about almost this Christ-like figure, and I think a lot of one of the greatest things that Fyodor Dostoevsky does is the fact that like with the details that he gives you, you can almost visualize like how this would look, and that's perfect because this goes into the topic of this video, which is the thing that people really don't tell you about reading, because I feel like reading has grown because I've been drawn into reading because of like the encouragement that you get from it in the community, because like everybody's like, oh, if you want to learn this, you want to learn that, you got to read, which is absolutely right. You should read because reading opens you up. It basically gives you the pamphlet of somebody's life, and you get it just from a book. Like, it's crazy. Like, all the stuff, like, okay, I have some books on my shelf because I read a lot of books. Meditations, probably one of the most powerful books of basically Marcus Aurelius, basically letting you in on his framework of his mind, like showing you like what he had to go through, like the mindset that he had to build as a ruler. Like it was tough, but basically you get his pamphlet of like how he did it, the type of mindset that he had for it. Point is, the number one thing that I don't really think a lot of people talk about personally, but whenever I talk to somebody who reads, like they agree with me, like that's something that there is the fact that like whenever you read, the biggest thing is learning to visualize. Because okay, obviously we live in a world where most of the stuff that we watch, most of the stuff that like most of the information we have is visual. So the reason why so many people don't like reading is because of the fact that it forces you to visualize yourself. It forces you because obviously, you know, when you watch a movie, when you watch a video, the work's already done for you basically already. Whenever you read information, at first, like it's really because I remember the first time I read a book. Like I think the first book I seriously read was The Great Gatsby, and that honestly was probably like the first book that actually led me into actually starting to read. Whenever you learn like, and this takes time, like seriously it takes time, but you kind of want to just, instead of like trying to read like a set amount of pages, you really want to set a goal for like, maybe I read like 2 3 pages, but I really like soak that information in. Like, okay, for instance, I can give a perfect example with meditations. There was a part, show you, and I'm gonna go to it to actually because it's a real, I love this part. Let me find it. It's book 5. Yep, it's book 5. So he says in this long paragraph, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit. In the morning when you rise unwillingly, let this thought be present. I am rising to the work of a human being. Why then am I dissatisfied if I'm going to do the work, to the things for which I exist and for which I was brought into the world? Or have I been made for this, to lie under the blankets and keep myself warm? But this is more pleasant. Do you exist then to take your pleasure and not at all for actions or exertions? Do you not see the little plants, the little birds, the ants, the spiders, the bees working together to put in the work their separate parts of the universe? And you are unwilling to do the work of a human being, and you do not make haste to do that which is according to your nature. But it is necessary to take rest also. It is necessary. Nature, however, has fixed bounds to this, too. She has fixed bounds both to eating and drinking, and yet you go beyond these bounds, beyond what is sufficient. Yet in your acts it is not so. But you stop short of what you can do. So you do not love yourself, for if you did, you would love in your nature and her will. But those who love their several arts exhaust themselves in working at them unwashed. I apologize. and without food. But you value your own nature less than the engraver values the engraving arts, or the dancer the dancing arts, or the lover of money values his money, or the vainglorious man his little glory. And such men, when they have an ardent passion for a thing, choose neither to eat nor sleep rather than to perfect the things that they care for. But are the acts that concern society more vile in your eyes and less the eye of your labor? So, point is, I mean, regardless if like you kind of understand what that was about, I wanted to get you like in the framework of like, I literally remember like sitting down because that book, the book is fairly short. The book is fairly like 100 pages or so. You want to get in that framework where you read like like a short amount of information, and like that was only like 2 paragraphs. It was one part of almost 1 page. That's about it. You want to get into that framework of you read a little bit, because a lot of the times they want you to read like this amount of books, and yes, you can, but you got to work your way up to it. You can't just read like 30 books when you before you didn't even read one. You want to learn to absorb this information so you can actually learn it. Like, you consciously think about it. Like every time I can tell you, like every time I wake up in the morning and I don't want to do something, I go back to what Marcus Aurelius said in that part. So whenever you like, because like I said, you want to program it in your brain so you can like kind of visualize it. Like every time I read that, I think about like me waking up in the morning, me thinking about what I don't want to do, but then imagining like the other animals of the world and what they do. They do their part even when no one tells them they have to. Like I said, the greatest thing that you can do for yourself is reading small parts, learning to visualize it like in your brain, and then using that in your day-to-day life. Because like I said, I used to have the problem of I would try to read like 10 pages a day, but like I couldn't tell you one thing that I remember from those 10 pages. So this could be your actionable step is you get a book. It could be literally anything. It doesn't even have to be a book. It can be like an article. It can be a research, something you're interested in. And like let's say, like I said, like you choose a book like Meditations. You really like, and you could do this with the highlighter if it helps you like a little better on like what you're going to focus on. You're going to read a few pages. It could be 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter. Then for like the rest of the day, and this can go into the next day, is you're going to like repeat that information, like keep looking back on it, keep looking at the information, and like almost like kind of like visualize like how would you use this in your day-to-day life. But that's all I got for you guys. You guys have a nice day.